Okay, we're going to talk about bones. Okay, now, has anyone ever heard of osteoporosis? Now, is this a problem or an alarm? An alarm. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Now, osteopenia was never considered a diagnosis because everybody has different bones. Even it's based on your cultural heritage and what your body requires. For our species, and our species is found from the desert to the Arctic, okay, the heaviest bone density of our species is African males. Okay, why? Because they're under a better force load, and this is for their environment. The lightest bone density of our species is Northern European females. Now, that's normal for both of these. Now, in 1994, they had a meeting in Rome, and they were looking over densimeters, and they know everybody has different bone density. If you work really hard, your bones are going to be thicker. If you're more of an office worker, you're going to be thinner. So you take two brothers or two sisters, there's going to be a difference. So they knew when it's normal, but it's on the low end of normal. Okay, they call it osteopenia. And it was never meant to be used as a diagnosis, but they're using it all the time. Now, the body has to maintain the pH, or the acid-base balance, really, really close, 7.35 to 7.4. A tenth of a point above or below this, you die. Now, what are the things that you use to regulate this pH? Respiration, perspiration, urination, and bowel. So if somebody's in a stressed state, they won't have good bowel function. If they have a pelvis problem, they're not going to be drinking water because they're afraid of losing it, okay? If they're not breathing correctly because they have a problem with their lungs or a problem with their neck, altering the lung supply, their body becomes acidic. So the body's going to go to the bone bank and withdraw calcium. And because this is a positive ion, it's got a little plus sign there, so it's going to alkalinize the blood. Because if you have a problem with breathing, sweating, urination, or bowel function, the body becomes more acidic. Pay no attention to that small creature. Thank you. Thank you, God, for serving. Okay, now, the thyroid gland is responsible for building stuff. So is the adrenals. So both of these organs are responsible for building and breaking down. Now, there's an organ next to the thyroid called the parathyroid. But you know what parathyroid means? It means next to the thyroid. So I just said next to the thyroid twice, but I used a different language, so it makes me sound really, really smart. Honest to God, when you look at anatomy and physiology, it's so simple. Okay, now the parathyroid gland, its job is to increase the blood calcium level. And how does it do that? It stimulates these cells that break down bone. So if your blood is acidic, the body's going to go to the bone bank and withdraw calcium so the body can regenerate or alkalinize that system. Because every muscle in your body uses calcium. And if you have low calcium levels, guess which muscle is the most affected? How did you know it was the heart? I know. I was one of my students to all ace. Yeah, so when you're talking cardiac arrhythmias, it could be the nerve supply, it could be poor mineral absorption, because you can't utilize vitamins if you don't have minerals. So any kind of stress, I don't think I've ever told you this, but there's three stressors: physical, chemical, emotional. Any kind of stress puts your body in that fight or flight state, and that means respiration, perspiration, bowel function is going to go down. You can't digest, so you have low stomach acid. That means you can't absorb the minerals, and you need 125 different minerals to have your body function. So if you can't break down those nutrients, you can't get the calcium, then the body won't function correctly. Okay, so ultimately, the thinning of the bone is a clue that the body's under stress. The body's literally using these cells called osteoclasts to break down the bone. Now, in crazy world, and I'm talking people that don't understand this physiology. If they say thinning of the bones, they'll give a drug called a biphosphate drug. And this is called Fosamax or something along those lines. What those drugs do is they stop the activity of the osteoclasts. Now, you need these cells on the bones. You need them to break it down and build it up, break it down and build it up. Okay, why? Because you want strong bones. Now, if I'm going to work out my arm, do I not use it at all? No, the muscle would shrink up. So what happens when you're working it out? You're tearing the tissue, you're building it up, you're breaking it down, you're realigning it, and then the muscles get bigger. Okay, same thing with bones. Now what these drugs do, they limit this activity. So on the densometer, how they check bone density, the bones look bigger, except they're more brittle, they break more. That's why they say you can only use the drugs for osteoporosis for under 5 years, because after 5 years, they increase fractures. But that whole process, if you look at the bones, as they need this activity, they need that stress. Your body needs to respiration, perspiration, bowel function. So anybody that has osteoporosis or osteopenia, good sleep or poor sleep, what do you think? Poor sleep patterns. 3 bowel movements a day or 1 a day if they're lucky? 1 a day if they're lucky. I just got rid of carbon dioxide. That's an acid. I'm regulating my body's pH by just breathing. So these people have good lung function or poor lung function? Poor lung function. So this is never a problem. It's a clue to a body under stress. And the body, in its intelligence, is going to adapt 100% of the time correctly, where it's going to break down that bone to get that system alkalinized. Because if this pH changes at all, you die. Now, has anyone in here ever broken a bone? Okay, then I have the most experience. I've fractured my skull twice, my sternum once, my right knee twice, my left knee once, my right foot once, and my left foot once. This was mountain biking, paintballing, fell off a 3-story building, was hit by a car, and that fractured my sternum, knees, and skull. Do you know that broken bones heal? I'm here to tell you they actually do. It's cool. No matter what you break, 4 to 6 weeks later, it's brand new. Not only is it brand new, when you break a bone and you put it back together and it heals, that area where it's broken is stronger than any other bone in the body. Wow. Isn't that cool? No, don't go out and break bones just for fun, okay? You know, I saw Bergman, he looks okay, and he broke a bunch. No, don't do it.
Did you look at the nerve? The nerve.
Oh yeah, you gotta look at the nerves, you gotta look at everything in healing. Because when you break a bone, and even if you, have you ever had a bone bruise? Where you bang your elbow or bang this and it hurts really bad? That's because every bone in your body has a covering on the outside. And how do you say covering on the outside in Latin? Periosteum. Okay, so I just said outside of the covering twice. But that periosteum, and this is interesting, if you had an exposed piece of living bone and you cut that, just slice the bone, it bleeds like skin. The periosteum is so rich in blood. That's why bones heal so fast. 4 to 6 weeks later, it's brand new. So now, how long will it take to correct osteoporosis? Well, knowing that osteoporosis is the thinning of the bone. What causes that? Blood acidity. So when we look at the blood and we see the cells are healthy and beautiful and separate, gorgeous. When the body is under stress, physical, chemical, emotional stress, there's less stomach acid. You can't absorb the minerals. Okay, so the cells, instead of being separate like little magnets bouncing around, they start to overlap. That means they can't hold oxygen, they can't transfer nutrients, because blood has a job. Its job is in the immune system to regulate the pH. Its job is to move nutrients and minerals. So when it's like this, it's efficient. When it's like this, it doesn't work right. But when it's really stressed and those cells stack together, and then the body isn't building healthy cells, then we see parasites attacking those cells. That's really stress. So when doctors check blood pressure, and you have blood that's efficient, you're going to have a good blood pressure. When the blood is in a stressed state, the pressure has to go higher because this blood can't hold oxygen well, it can't transfer nutrients well, and it's got to do the same job as the healthy blood. So blood pressure is going to go up too. So what do you think happens in people diagnosed with osteoporosis? They're misdiagnosed with high blood pressure. They don't have it. They got shitty blood. They're misdiagnosed with poor digestion. No, they're just not absorbing the minerals. They're misdiagnosed with chronic constipation, okay, or their urine is dark yellow because their kidneys aren't working correctly. Any questions about this?
So, doctor, so people who have like heart problem because they said like the calcium is in the blood vein or artery, I don't know.
Perfect.
That because like
high or low calcium levels, doesn't matter. Okay, if you've got a heart problem, number one thing, it's going to be cardiac arrhythmias, heart palpitations, something like that. You've got to look at the nervous system as the primary component. Now, the heart does burn up calcium in that component, but the heart muscle is different than the muscle inside the intestinal tract. And the heart muscle is different than skeletal muscle. So they're called muscle spindles, okay? And this is, the amazing thing about the heart is it starts beating at around, I think, 12 weeks after the sperm hits the egg, and it keeps going for the next 120 years. So it never malfunctions.
Is it because like if they were prescribed calcium as well?
What the doctors will do, they'll measure blood calcium. And if it's high, they'll remove the parathyroid.
No, I mean, is that can be because of they took the supplement of the calcium?
Oh, no, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Because like so many people talking about this, and then the doctor said like maybe the coenzyme Q10 can help. I don't know.
Yeah, one of the and this is brilliant. Okay, you're taking too much vitamins. Okay, that the vitamins can build up to a toxic level. So if you take calcium supplements, your blood calcium will be too high, and that's dangerous. Okay, that's completely crazy. The only death from a vitamin that ever occurred was from vitamin A toxicity. And this happened in the early 1900s when explorers from Northern Europe went to explore Alaska and the Greenland and that area up there. And the natives warned these European explorers, do not eat the liver of the polar bear. And they felt it was a religious superstition. And so they're much smarter than the natives. It turned out that the polar bear stores vitamin A to such poisonous levels in the liver that they can't even give it to their dogs because their dogs would die. So the Europeans ate it and they died of vitamin A toxicity. So, no. But it's more than calcium. See, when people get osteoporosis, and a doctor, and this is the crazy part, they would prescribe Tums or an antacid that is mixed with calcium. Now you need acid in order to absorb a mineral. So not only taking an antacid that's mixed with calcium, it makes you calcium deficient. It doesn't get the nutrients in. So that's really, really stupid. But you need 125 minerals. Okay, so this is why dark green leafy vegetables are so good for you. Bok choy, kale, green salads. It's such a nutrient rich. This is why sea moss is so good. Sea plants, sea minerals, because you need a lot more than calcium. You need selenium, zinc, copper, magnesium, all of these different minerals. But if you're in a stressed state, you can't absorb it. So isn't that cool? So there is no single profession yet, because it's all broken up. It's broken into the hematology, the endocrinologist, the osteopath, or the bone expert. You're looking at the digestive person that may be, gastroenterologist. You're looking at the pulmonologist. You're looking at the renal physiologist. You can't work on it. It's so stupid because all of these systems work in harmony with each other. And you've got to look at the body as responding correctly to the alarm. Any other questions? Isn't it cool? I know. But that's why Hippocrates, the father of medicine, said, first do no harm. Because he knew that this system is so brilliant and so complex and so amazing. He didn't understand the blood acid-base balance. He knew that if somebody wasn't breathing correctly and their bowels weren't working correctly, he said death begins in the colon. Okay, because he knew that somebody that has 3 bowel movements a day, that does sleep good, they're healthier than people that have 1 bowel movement every other day. So, and he said, first do no harm. Isn't that cool? God bless you. Come up. Thank you very much.